Good morning. Welcome to Sending Ravens. I'm having a smoothie today. I already had my coffee. Now it's mango smoothie time. Yum. Okay, let's have a look at the day. Now, somebody was asking, what is that? So that is patchouli, an essential oil. Patchouli. Yeah, back in the 60s and 70s, it got really popular and it was called patch oil. Don't forget, I'm an old hippie. Okay, so yeah, I'm not entirely, like I was a little late for the hippie era. I was more a teenager in the 70s. Graduated in 1979. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to my 40th year high school reunion. I'll tell you guys all about it. That is going to be in September. I think it's the 14th. Oh, that'll be so fun. Can't wait. I think it's just a dinner. Everybody's just getting together for dinner, but you know what? Super fun. I have a terrible memory for names. So that'll be interesting. I hope everybody wears name tags because I'm literally like, you could tell me your name and I'll forget it in 5 minutes. But the thing is, I do remember faces and I'll remember energy about them, but not necessarily their name. That's just me. Just the way I am. And it's not to be offensive. I'm just like that. Okay, let's have a look. Now we've got the 8 of Cups. So in the past here we've come from this Queen of Swords. Now the Queen of Swords is a little hard on things and or people and really likes to be organized. And it's underneath this card here, the 10 of Wands. So I'm going to say too much of this. I'm going to say, in the past, have you been really hard either on yourself or someone else? And I feel like she's a little judgmental sometimes, okay? And it's created the need to really take some time to yourself, okay? You might have found yourself being judgmental towards others or yourself, and it's time to take a little time inward and understand, where does that come from? Were you brought up with that kind of attitude? Is something being triggered for you? There's some kind of judgment going on in your head, and whether it's towards yourself or others, it needs looking at. I feel like something's missing in your life, or there's something to look at from your past, because this guy takes time to go look into what's going on for himself. Okay, and I feel like it might be time to do that if you find yourself judging too quickly, either others or yourself. Sometimes our internal dialogue with ourselves is really tough. And this card indicates that might be the case, because this card says something's really tough, being too hard on something. And then this gives us a clue what. Maybe not literally working too hard, that could be, but I'm thinking it's more speaking harshly. So either externally out there to others or internally to yourself, or both. Sometimes it's both. Okay, now here we've got the Page of Pentacles. So somebody around this situation is a youthful person, quite naive, maybe even a young soul. And I feel like with this card, there's wisdom coming from you, but right now something's triggering and you're being somehow hurtful to self and maybe even to externally to this person. And what you might need to realize, so that if this is one of your children, if this is a friend of yours who's young or youthful, or just maybe naive or immature, something like that, I feel like don't be too hard on that person, because this is coming from a place maybe from your childhood or your growing up yourself. There's some kind of internal dialogue that just needs to be checked. I don't think it's literally has directly to do with this person. They might be just triggering you. And the other way you could read that is your harshness that's internally towards yourself is coming from your childhood. Okay, so it could be how you were feeling growing up. Maybe you were feeling like you were a useless person or treated badly, or somehow got the impression that you were not a worthy person or there was something wrong with you. And we can get those impressions, especially as a young person, you know, which are entirely not true in most cases. Do you know what I mean? Like people are born wonderful, and they need to be parented and loved and seen for their qualities and encouraged. And there's the odd person that's literally right from the start a difficult personality. Yes, of course, there's those people. And there's mental illnesses that can create difficulties, and there's things like that. But I'm not talking about that. Most people, their upbringing will create some of these things we're talking about. Not necessarily. They were born with as much chance, you know, to make a great life as anybody. Most people, at least personality-wise, maybe not physically, financially, but personality-wise, people come here and they're not like an empty slate. They actually come with a lot of energy. You know, some people call it baggage, but I'm going to call it karmic energy and lessons. They do not come like an empty slate. And what a good parent and, you know, a good upbringing wants to do is bring out their best qualities. Find out what they came here to do and encourage them, okay? And so if that didn't happen and you were criticized or felt criticized by your culture that you were brought up in and or literal parenting, you may be, that could have created harsh inner message to yourself, right? You're too hard on yourself because of that, right? And we have to look at that and say, you know what? As adult people now, we can't keep that internal dialogue going from our childhood. I mean, it was the past, and maybe we're supposed to learn from it, like how to self-love and not self-criticize instead of taking it on and repeating it. Do you know what I mean? Time to grow up and let that go and love ourselves and be there for ourselves. Even if we weren't parented well, or even if we had some bad experiences, it is your duty, kind of. I don't know. I'm going to take that back. Not duty. It is your responsibility as a soul living on the earth plane in a body to learn to love yourself in spite of, you know, what happened in your childhood. Do you know what I mean? So time to look at that, right? You can't keep going back to, I was treated badly. You know what? So treat yourself well now. Change that, heal that, right? And I know that sounds harsh, but it's how you empower yourself. You don't let yourself relive your childhood over and over. And as an adult person, if it was a bad childhood, it's not a practical thing to do, right? It's just not a great idea. Okay, now let's have a look at the outcome. Becoming independent of other people's opinions, including your own negative self-esteem's opinion of yourself. Standing on your own 2 feet, seeing your own independent beauty. She shines in her independence. So finding what's beautiful about yourself, and or even this person, if it's them you're being hard on. And maybe, you know, speaking about what you either love about yourself and or, because this card clarifies things verbally, what you love about yourself. Be there for yourself, even if you have to, maybe an apology is necessary. With this card here, we've got this 9 of Swords. So you're stressing about saying something, and I feel like say the thing you have to say, if it's to this person or even to yourself. Don't be afraid to say it. You'll come to a better understanding of yourself or the whole situation. Okay, so if something happened that was a trigger from your past that created some discomfort and uncomfortable conversation or meanness towards others or yourself, it's time to write that, whether it's with yourself or, you know, with the other person, right? Yeah, it's okay. Don't just sweat about it. I feel like this is, give it a little time though, because we've got that 9 of Cups there. Give it a little time, and then we've got the 2 of Pentacles. So the 9 of Cups and the 2. This, in the next 2 days, I feel like something will occur to you, and some kind of energy shift happens. And it's just the perfect time to really either settle this with yourself internally or come to a really good conclusion and having a conversation, a really good opportunity to have a conversation with the person if it was an actual person that you were hard on. Yeah, I feel like give it a couple of days because an opportunity will arise. So this is a wish comes true. And it feels like the wish is to clarify the situation, still standing and being there for yourself, but not undervaluing yourself, even if you did get triggered and it was an external situation. Things like that happen. So there's going to be a way to say what you need to say without, entirely throwing yourself under the bus, I want to say. Yeah. So this is a very complicated reading today, but somebody out there is going to figure this out, I'm sure. Somebody, I love all your comments, by the way, and I am glad I'm being helpful to some of you, and that's wonderful. That's what I want to do. Okay, send in your ravens on this very complicated and interesting situation. Okay, and yeah, love and light out there.